What's up, guys? Welcome to this video here on Elvis is the Man. So I've been slowly getting through the book Destined to Die Young, and just because I'm slowly doing it doesn't mean it's boring or something. I'm just super busy. I have a ton of stuff going on, but I'm making sure I'm plowing through it. And before I start with the second part of this review, because I did the first, I'm about to do the second, and then the third for the final recap. So I'm here for the second, and before I really get into it, I will say, because a lot of people like the book, but I will say that it's very entertaining, and whether you agree with what the author says or not, you have to admit that like the in-depth detail just about Elvis's life is very interesting for any Elvis fan. So far, I'm remaining, open-minded. So far, I'm just staying optimistic about her conclusions on the matters. I'm not agreeing with them at this point, but I'm gonna hear what she says because I'm open to hear some new things about Elvis. All right, so I got a little script here just because there's so many things that need to be said, and there's so much detail, I'm not gonna remember it all off the top of my head. So also one more thing, I want to say that like this channel is really geared towards showing everybody, not that we have to show us so much, but showing everybody that Elvis is the man. So sometimes I'm just going to interject some things that I have from my Elvis is the Man Instagram to just be like, wow. Okay, back to what we were talking about, Okay, so she talks about in the second part of the book, the list, like the myriad of physical symptoms that he has, not only symptoms, but like disorders that he has, like just in his body. And, I don't know if I agree with it all. I haven't heard of all these things, and I've read a lot about Elvis. I just got done with the book by Dr. Nick, and he doesn't even mention all these things. So I'm gonna go through this with you and tell me what you think about these. So far, during the second part of this book, she introduces these. And a few from the first part. Asthma, diabetes. When I read that, I'm like, diabetes? So he has to take shots and insulin and watch his blood sugar and all that? Diabetes, high blood pressure, COPD like your lungs, COPD, arthritis, glaucoma, so I'm halfway done and think about all this. Glaucoma, immune system disorder. She just introduced that. I think it was like between chapters, just basically in the middle part of this book because I'm 2/3 done. An enlarged spleen, enlarged liver, anemia. Like, come on, at this point it's like, wow, poor guy, if that's the case. Digestive tract issues, and chronic tonsillitis and colds. Now, guys, if this were to all be true, how could a person even function? That's one of her points. She's like, Elvis had to take all these pills just to survive. And it was more complicated, she says, because Elvis was on the road performing a lot. And yeah, he did, up until I think it was 75, he did 2 shows a night in Vegas for 4 straight weeks. And maybe it was 73, gosh. It was brought down to a show a night, or 2 shows a night for 2 weeks. Gosh, let me double check. I'll put that at the bottom of this part right here. But anyway, he was touring all the time. In 1970, because this is where it's starting off from, 1970 he did 87 shows, and then in 1971 he did 151 or 57 shows. So he was doing all this stuff, and yeah, I mean, he wasn't performing like Barbra Streisand or someone like that. He's constantly, when he's fully energetic and putting everything into it, he's like putting so much energy and physical stress, really, that he is compounding the matter and making it worse. So he has to rely, she says, this is her theory, that he has to rely and even increase his dose of medications like uppers, downers, all that things to keep up with it on the road. Not to mention everything he's got to take to help with the symptoms of the physical distractions, really, physical problems that I just mentioned to you. So if that were to be true, can you imagine what kind of life that was? But I don't think this is accurate. Okay, so she says, and what I'll say is that she says that this comes from, it's known from the autopsy. It's known from the autopsy. She said it's known that Elvis had an immune system disorder. It's known from the autopsy. I mean, I've read the autopsy report, and she says it's known that Elvis had alpha-1 disorder, which is what I mentioned in the first part of this little series. Think about it. Don't you think that if Elvis had all these problems with his body, the doctors, when they did the autopsy that day, don't you think they would have been like, huh, no wonder he died. He had 15 different severe problems, high blood pressure. The only thing, you know what I mean? Okay, so I'm kind of rambling a bit, but I want to hear your comments down below. Tell me what you think about this stuff. Do you think Elvis had this many? These are the ones that I know about, okay? These are the ones that I'll say, yeah, I've heard of this, and these are the ones that I agree with, okay? High blood pressure. Elvis did have that, I know. But, guys, she says that it was because basically these type of things were from his grandparents on his mother's side and Gladys' side being first cousins. That messed up the genes, the gene pool, which was the alpha-1 stuff, and his immune system was compromised, and he's having most of these abnormalities because of that effect. I think it's more self-inflicted, and I don't agree with everything that was listed here about the physical problems. So the high blood pressure. People have high blood pressure if they eat a diet like Elvis, a Southern diet. You know, that could have been fixed himself. If people, you know, generally speaking, if people, I don't know, it could be some genetic stuff, but for the most part, I'd say that if people were to fix their diet, eat better, they can get rid of the high blood pressure, or they can keep their lifestyle and take meds, you know? Arthritis. The first time I heard that Elvis had arthritis was from the book that I read about Dr. Nick, and that he did. And arthritis from his movements, I don't know about that. When I read that, I'm thinking Dr. Nick was probably, adding those things in because he would give a medication for certain things. Arthritis, she said that Elvis had rheumatoid arthritis. I don't know. Glaucoma, yeah, we know he had glaucoma. That's well documented. He had to go to the doctors for it. It interrupted his recording session in May 1971 when he was working on the folk album, really. Glaucoma, yeah, I get that. Digestive tract issues. Yeah, he did have problems with that. But I think that he had those problems because of the pills he was taking. It was blocking up his intestines. He wasn't able to be regular. And it was like, they said in the autopsy report that it was very chalky and stuff in there. And it was blocked. So yeah, but that was self-inflicted, as most likely, it's a clear sign of abuse from, the medication. Now, and we do know that he had frequent colds, like in Vegas, in the January, February sessions in Memphis. Like he had problems, like he had a raspy throat, hoarse throat, tonsillitis. She says that like tonsillitis, that's because of the genetic problems that he had from his grandparents. Basically, she says that Elvis was a complete wreck because of these physical problems, which were from the messed up gene pool. And she gives the list of like Gladys's brothers, which are Elvis's uncles, living into their like 50s and 40s and stuff. And like Elvis basically had no choice, and he had to take all these pills just to compensate. She even said, as I was wrapping up, getting ready to record this video, that Elvis if he would have rested and didn't do anything other than the Vegas shows, he may have lived to 46. 46? Do you see him at Aloha from Hawaii? He looks great. Okay, Madison Square Garden, he's a healthy, strong guy in his late 30s. Yeah, I know that on the outside, I mean, he was so handsome and you get a tan and all that. It can cover up physical problems, but I don't think he had all this stuff. You know what I mean? Tell me in the comments what you guys think. Basically, I think a lot of this stuff could have been fixed with diet, and I feel like it was more brought on by the pills he was taking that aggravated some of these issues, you know, but nothing so far about recreational use of pills, which is so common. I'm like 2/3 of the way through the book and nothing about Elvis just liked being high or very little, but that's really what it was. In my opinion, I think that it was a little bit physical, but the physical, for the most part, other than like glaucoma and stuff, could have been corrected on Elvis's part. I think he was just kind of self-destructive. So she says all this stuff was just to cope, and I don't think so. I think most of it was for recreation. And the sleeping problem, yeah, I could see him taking some, you know, downer sleeping pills for that, because that is true. He did have a sleep problem, and then the uppers to stay awake, but a lot of it was recreational. I think it was more self-inflicted. It's kind of a down video, but this is where I'm at with the book. So if you happen to like this type of stuff, just hit the like button. It'll let me know you've enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. Tell me your thoughts on this matter too. I do enjoy the book. I may not agree with the conclusions that she comes to, but that doesn't mean it's not interesting. So I would recommend you read it just for fun. But I've already read so many and seen so many interviews about, you know, his habits, we'll say, that I believe that's what it is, and it's really hard to persuade me otherwise. If you're like a new Elvis fan and you pick up that book for the first time, yeah, my hero, it wasn't his fault. You know, I'm being real. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. In the description are links to a few other pages and YouTube channels I run. Hope to see you there. Talk to you next time.